there really is something about a vertical spine. You can feel it when you kind of sit tall and try not to think of it in terms of like a soldier, sticking chest out and all that. Just a nice, supple but relaxed. Imagine like a bamboo stalk in the breeze or something like that. You want your spine to have that kind of nice fluid quality, tall. The shoulders, you may not even realize that sometimes even just the slightest bit, little picking up of the shoulders can add to a sense of tension, anxiety. So just consciously try to let your shoulders relax into gravity, even if they don't drop any distance. It's still just a thought. And then the heart, picture something blossoming right there. Anything just opening up like a flower opening to the sunshine that's beaming on it in the morning kind of feeling. And when you breathe, imagine your breath coming through that flower, that opening, right into your heart. Good. This is really the art of relaxing. And there's layers to relaxing. Of course, you can talk about the most superficial level of relaxing, like dropping your shoulders. But you can relax on deeper and deeper and deeper layers. I want you to think about the kind of tension that's kind of always in the background. If you think about it, we're all, in a way, a little bit in fight or flight all the time. Like a level of fight or flight, that nagging anxiety. Think about the way that the tissues inside of you, inside of your chest, deep inside your torso, think about how those tissues can ball up too. I want you to focus on relaxing those right now. And that's where the breath is indispensable. Because in order to allow for a deep breath, we have to relax internally. So when you breathe, it's not about the size of the breath so much as how deep you feel it. So it could be the most gentle, delicate, sweet breath, as long as it touches your heart, your soul. So with the next inhale, really focus on where that breath is striving towards. When you inhale, it's like it's trying to get in you. Feel that place that it touches. Think of it like where the outside world meets the inside world, that special contact point. Or the way that you breathe when you're smelling the fragrance of a rose. Imagine how you draw that breath in, like you want to commune with it. And then the exhale is also coming from that place. Your exhale is not coming from your lungs, it's coming from right before your lungs, deep inside you. So if it were to make a sound, it would be something like, So even if you don't make that sound, and you're welcome to, I want you to feel that way every time you exhale. That's the art of relaxing inside. And that's going to ripple to the outside. Good, yeah. You can entice your body to relax that way when you sigh. Good, yeah. Drop, let go, release. Since we've been sitting for a while here, instead of going into our usual opening sequence, I'd like to just go ahead and unpack the legs in one of the most simple postures of all. You just let the legs slide out in front of you, but from now on, just join me in moving slower than automatic. By that I mean, if we just do it automatically, you can miss so much. Just slow everything down a little bit and feel all the little details of the backs of your ankles, your knees, all that opening up. Even just lean back on your hands so you're not trying to tug on the backs of your legs. And just take a moment to reach your toes or wiggle your toes, flex your legs, really imbue your legs with awareness and breath. So that breath we were just doing, the trick is keeping that going once we get into the postures and the forms. You're not letting the posture eclipse the main point, which is, again, relax, feel, enjoy. Good, so let's try that breath again with just feeling our legs. Nice deep inhale. Good. Imagine when you draw in that breath, it's going all the way to the soles of your feet. Sip it in like a rose. And exhale from the soles of your feet. From the backs of your legs. So what this does is it's telling our bodies we're not just barging into the body. your body wants to be respected just like anything else in nature. So you don't barge in. Let's just very gently, like you're entering through the front doors of a sacred temple. The doors are parting as you start to sit up and maybe even topple forward a little bit. A little bit goes a long way, especially with the very first pose here. You just want to let this first stretch not feel like a stretch at all. You just want to feel like it's a loving touch that starts to activate the tissues. Now that feeling we call stretch, that's your fascia. If we're going to talk anatomy, it's the fascia, this like web of tissue, intelligent through your whole body. So I want you to start to feel it as one web through your whole entire body, one network. So even though it may be focused in the backs of your legs, your knees, wherever, I want you to feel how the sensation radiates through your whole body. So every time you go into a stretch, it's like plucking a string on an instrument. It vibrates through the whole instrument. Now, with forward folds, there's focusing on the backs of the legs by staying more tall and just letting it be in the backs of the legs, or including the back by just rounding into it, the conscious slouch, where you just let your head drop, you let your arms drop, and now we've got the whole back side of the body. If you can let your head start to surrender to the pull of gravity, you can feel that one web from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet and everywhere in between. And let's find that breath again, that sweet inhale. You feel it with all your heart. You exhale, and you consciously relax, because we're not trying to stretch, we're trying to relax, remember. Good. Stretching is like you're working against your body. Relaxing is you're working with your body. Let's just bring a little sway in. This is a super basic but powerful little technique you can bring into any pose. It's a little sway, a little rocking motion left and right. And it tells your body, hey, I'm not forcing this rigid posture on you. This posture is not a cage. It's not a container. It's an offering. So anytime you just do a little sway, it brings in that sweetness again. We're going to answer this forward fold with a nice complementary opposite. We start to back away, feel all the sensations in that journey back to your hands. Point the fingers forward, heels of the hands just a few inches behind you. You start to reach the toes. I'm so very sorry. I don't know why that's ringing. And with the reach of the toes, you start to press the hands into the floor and very consciously peel your legs off the earth and try to really feel now. This is a different kind of sensation. We call it flexing, but there's so much more to it than that. We just keep on going up with that sensation. You feel that all those tissues, all those muscles that were lengthening now gathering, shortening, and this creates magically a kind of levitation. You're levitating right now. Good, and just smile into it. Really find that sweetness. By the way, if it's too much with straight legs, you can flatten the feet, bend the knees, and that really gives you a nice variation, a little lighter load. When you're ready, we're gonna slowly, gently set it back down. Good. You slide the feet back if you haven't already. And while keeping your attention on your belly, just very consciously bring your hands off the ground. Not in one quick jerk, but in a slow motion. And float them to your sides. Let's keep rounded arms for now. So in other words, just let your shoulders relax. Your arms can just be nice waterfalls at your side. We're just going to feel a nice gentle flexion in the core. And then from here, we're going to explore something that's kind of hard to get the hang of at first, but it's a little tilt of the pelvis. So most of us kind of tilt back in the pelvis, but if you just kind of tilt the pelvis forward a little bit, feel yourself roll over those sits bones, onto the sits bones rather, over the glute muscles. This straightens out the low back more and allows you to venture deeper into the core, where the sensations are very unique. Anatomically speaking, the psoas muscles that connect from the inner thighs to the lower spine are starting to get lit up here, and we just want to run some current through them while keeping that relaxed breath. From there, if you want to lean back a little bit without collapsing in your back, keep the tallness and just lean back a little bit. That's like turning up the knob, the volume knob here, making it a little louder. And again, breathe, that's it. And that sometimes turns into the feet kind of getting lighter, maybe even floating off the ground. Good. And then just play with moving your arms around in space, wherever you are here, to help develop a real sense of the arm-core connection. Good. Good. It's like we're putting ourselves back together. The arms, the legs, the toes, the hands, they're all distal from the body, and we're gathering them to connect to the core energetically. Good. We're going to come back to the support of the hands, maybe even the elbows, and let the legs take their turn in just dancing in space. So, straight legs, bent legs, high legs, low legs. Just play around with it, with the legs as one unit at first. Keeping that breath sweet and deep. Good. Let the legs separate from one another. Just like little bicycle leg motions here. Again, the idea is to feel the leg and core connection. This creates coherence in the body, and with coherence comes power and graceful control. Good. And wherever you are with it, if you're on those elbows, you press up onto the hands again. Cross your ankles in transit to coming forward onto the hands at the front corners of the mat. And then take your knees off the ground and just straighten yourself out in the kind of upper push-up position. If you find that holding your whole body weight with your legs off the ground is too much, just drop to the knees. But the idea is that you're uniting the pressure of two arms as one force field of your heart against the earth. And as you hold the earth at arm's length with confidence, you breathe those same sweet breaths and let some chi build now. Good. We're going to pass through this motion a number of times today, so first time, really kind of take it slow. You can drop to the knees if you need to. But either way, we want to let the elbows bend backwards. This is friendlier for the wrists than letting the elbows go out until we make full contact with the earth. You start to reach the toes to the back wall, reach your crown to the front wall, and just very gently draw the head away from the floor, followed by the throat and the chest, until we get a nice, even flexion down the back. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Take nice deep breaths to the tip of your toes. This is Cobra. So anytime we move through this, you can go all the way down to Cobra, or you can scoop into an upward dog, which all you're adding now is that downward pressure again through the arms from the heart. Except now, instead of being straight, you're curved, curled. And that feels wonderful. Back bend kind of medicine there. And then over the toes, feel a kind of concave lift in your tummy as it lifts your belly and tailbone up and back. And then landing on the hands and the feet in the famous downward dog, which for those of you who are new to this class, I call it Downward Dog 2.0. It's an upgraded version where you can customize it for your body. But in order to do that, you got to try stuff out. You got to try different hand placements. You got to let your knees bend. You got to walk the hands closer to your feet, further from your feet. Move around. Please break the rules of Downward Dog 1.0. Keep that breath flowing. Another way to look at Downward Dog is it's like a handstand, in a way, but with the help of your legs. And it's also like a forward fold with the help of your arms. Combined as one with the core in the middle. Deep breath. And we're going to start to salute the sun as we step or slowly walk, either way, gracefully towards the front of the mat. Again, if it's several steps, that's totally fine. But we're arriving towards the front of the mat with the feet close together, maybe even touching. And just feel the forward fold. Basic forward fold is called Uttanasana. We're just dangling right here. Allow gravity to do most of the work. If there's any part of you that feels like you've got to have straight legs, let that go. It's totally cool to let the knees bend, and even let them bend a lot. It's a matter of choosing where it goes. If you bend your knees more, try it out. You're going to notice it's less in the backs of the legs and more into that low back area. That's extremely valuable. And if you want it more on the legs, straighten the legs. So it's a customizable pose, all of them. Let me come through Ardha Uttanasana, which is this pose with just a little extra ingredient. Draw your head and shoulders up just enough to feel your back squeeze. It's just like cobra when we were on the floor, but now it's cobra on top of a forward fold. Baddha Konasana. And then let your next exhale, as we start to move with the breaths, let the next exhale set you down. And as though you're catching the updraft of the inhale, you rise up, but this time all the way up. Light as a feather on a breeze. Up to the sky till the palms meet. And then with the exhale, let your arms softly fall. If you sweep them back just a little bit, you get more shoulder, arm, and chest massage there. Good. Now just enjoy standing. One of the main principles in this approach is if we can't feel and enjoy the simple, there's no point in making it complex. Enjoy the simple, just standing, swaying a little bit, feeling your breath flowing. Then we can add the next ingredient. As the arms start to grow outward from the heart, we begin to inhale, and then they sweep thoroughly. So we're making every movement as full as can be, just overflowing. Exhale, we start to fall on the breath, down into a nice opening of the backside, loving with the body. Do not barge into your temple. Inhale, part way up, just to give the back a little squeeze, and then plant the hands. Step back and create that upper plank that we were in a moment ago. We'll take an extra inhale here just to not feel rushed, and then with the exhale, drop down. Just like before, on or off the knees, you can go all the way, or if you want to play with hovering above the ground, you get a lot more heat, and we surf the inhale into a cobra or an upward dog, depending on what you're looking for, and then retreat back to child's pose if you're looking for just kind of soft and sweet and gentle. Downward dog if you're looking for more of an even keel heat in your practice today. Good. Now, even though we're still right now, we're just kind of staying in this one general form, you're still in the flow. The flow is not necessarily moving. The flow is staying present. That's what the flow is. Unbroken presence. So as you're feeling your inhale, you're in the flow. As you're feeling your exhale, you're in the flow. As we start to step or walk up to the front, all flow. So you catch that next inhale up there. It's like you're riding a wave, like a surfer on a surfboard, and then exhale, watch that wave roll past you as you drop. Here comes that next wave. It's a little bigger than the last one, takes you all the way up. Yeah, and then watch that one roll past you. We want that kind of continuity and smoothness. Exhale becomes inhale. Inhale becomes exhale. Good. Surfing the waves. Exhale becomes inhale, part way up. Inhale becomes exhale. Planting the hands, stepping back, and lower into the earth. By the way, if you want to skip the dip, you can do that and just go right back to child's pose. Otherwise, ride it into an upward dog or cobra, and then retreat back to a downward dog or child's pose. Good. Stay in the flow. Flow equals bliss. Continuity is bliss. That's what it means to be in the zone. So we can choose to be in the zone. It doesn't have to just happen upon us. Good. If you happen to be in a child's pose, let the next exhale morph you back into a downward dog. And then let's all surf the wave up to the front together. A nice big inhale, several steps or one big step, maybe a soft hop as we come up part way. Exhale, drop. Becoming inhale, rise. As the hands peak, your in-breath is already rounding into an exhale, flow. Becomes inhale. Turns to exhale. Down into the valley, up to the mountaintop, inhale. Plant the hands, step back, dip into the valley of the exhale. Ride the wind like an eagle up to the mountaintop. Exhale, retreat into the sweet cave of child's pose or the pyramid strength of downward dog. Some say that the pyramids were designed and people intentionally use the shape of pyramids to ground certain kinds of energies. And your body is indeed a pyramid right now. Tailbone at the top, four corners at the bottom. So when you're in downward dog, you are grounding a certain kind of energy in your body and in the earth. Good. Let's ride the next inhale to the front. If you're in child's pose, you just exhale first to downward. Halfway up becomes all the way down, and then ride the updraft. And exhale in. Good. Let's let that ring in the tissues for a moment. I'd rather in here do less and experience it more than to do more and experience it less. So that's why we're taking these pauses. If you're bored, if you're ever waiting, you simply forgot how much you're feeling. So just remember. Good, so now that we've explored the more simple version, we can throw some more flavor in it. Here's the first curveball sitting into the earth as we sweep the arms. The legs united as one powerful leg, one powerful spring. Then you spring off of that with the exhale, just like before, we glide into a fold. This is just like the last flow. Exhale becomes inhale. And then we're gonna plant the hands, step walk or soft hop back and dip into the earth. Remember, you can dip and scoop or skip it and just go right back to downward dog. Inhale, upward dog. And exhale. Now here's the other curveball. As we're exhaling, going to downward dog, one of your feet are stepping up, either one. So you're technically completing the exhale as that foot reaches the front. And then ride the next inhale, updraft, whether you're on or off that back heel. Traditionally on, but the choice is yours. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, dip and scoop or skip the scoop. Good, exhale. As you're stepping up the other foot, you got the last bits of exhale leaving. Catch the inhale into an exuberant, lively, celebratory Virabhadrasana warrior. And then exhale, let the hands come back down to the earth. Dip or skip. And we'll meet up in child's pose or downward dog. Good. Don't worry about taking breaks. Actually, taking breaks is a very bold thing to do in our culture. Take those breaks and don't feel like you got to always push yourself, but never take a break from presence. Never take a break from flow. Good. If you're in child's pose, let the next exhale flow you into a pyramid. Surf the in-breath to the front with a big step, several steps, or one soft hop. That same inhale bringing you halfway up for cobra back. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, sweeping up as you sit down for a powerful, fierce pose. Utkatasana, complete where we started. And then just right into the next flow. So if you think of every movement as an opportunity for massage and liberation, it becomes so much more fun. So you just really take your time, squeeze into that fold. You are your own massage therapist. Inhale, partway up. Exhale, plant, step, dip or skip. Inhale, upward dog, if you're scooping. Exhale, create your warrior base, either foot. Inhale, express that warrior. Good. Thoroughness. Really make the most as you ride it back down. Plant the hands, dip or skip. To your other side through that exhale. Beautiful. Good. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fall. And if you're lagging a little bit behind or a little bit ahead, that's totally fine. I want you to find your rhythm. I'll just hold the middle ground. So you can, after you do your other side, you can dip and scoop again or just retreat right back to downward dog or child's pose. And we're going to hang out there. Stay in the flow by staying with your breath. Good. If you breathe like you're hungry for life, your breath becomes so much more life-giving. So breathe like it really matters. We're going to ride that next in-breath to the top. Again, no hurry. Feel the whole thing. Drop down. Sitting into the earth, sweeping the arms outward, upward, palms meet. Good. And come to full completion again, standing, perfect stillness. What's cool about perfect stillness is you can feel that there's still movement inside of you. Close your eyes if it helps. When you can feel the movement in the stillness, you become more conscious about your energy and therefore more capable of moving with energy and subtlety instead of always brute force. We don't want to use brute force. Good. So you're at the front of your mat. We start like we're going to go through another sun salute B, but we're just going to sit right here, uniting the legs as one. So think of your two legs as one powerful spring that you're bouncing on here. Obviously, the deeper you sit, the hotter it gets. So adjust the temperature so that you can hang out for a little while. I don't want you waiting. And then let your arms, again, rise like hot air. Just free and liberated to go upwards. Almost like your shoulders are moving away from your heart. Like your arms are going to just take you right off the ground. Good. Feel that beautiful curve in your low back as we strengthen there. And then unite the palms together. Even the most subtle touch between them is powerful. And you can add a little bit of pressure. We want to avoid using the thumbs to wrap each other's hands because that kind of implies that we're trying to glue the hands. We're not. We just want them to meet and activate the shoulders. Good. Very nice. And then just simply straighten the legs again, just like you're completing the sun salute, and let your arms fall down as they sweep back. You can do this with a hop or two small steps, but we're going to get some distance between the feet. Good. Take a moment to feel the difference there. Notice when the feet are together, we're a little bit more wobbly. Feet wider, we're more stable. So you feel that energetic stability first. We slightly grip the earth with our toes. We take the hands to the hips. Draw the elbows back and consciously firm up those legs as you begin to offer the pelvis forward first. So from a side view, that creates a nice curvature, and then it ripples up your spine as you carefully turn the gaze up. Good. Sink into those heels. Big inhale. You just want to linger here at the back edge. Exhale. If you push too hard, it's more overwhelming. We want just before that. Just before overwhelm. Good. Next inhale. We're already beginning to tip forward. With the exhale, focus as much of the movement as you can in the hips area. Lead with the lower part of the abdomen. And most of us are feeling it not even halfway down. You can start to feel it in the backs of your legs. So again, in the spirit of not barging in, take your time. We've got plenty of time to surrender to the pull of gravity. You are entering into your tissues. If you slam too hard, they're going to push back. Good. And some of you already intuitively moving around the pose. I love that. Do that. Just move around the pose a little bit. Tip left, tip right. Let a knee bend. Let the other knee bend. Let both bend. Good. It's a whole different approach that we're doing where we're not trying to cram the body to a posture. We're using this form to liberate the body, not trap it. So that's where that movement comes in. Once you've moved around a little bit, come to stillness and just let it work on you. You can take opposite elbows with your hands if you like that, or hook the big toes with middle and index fingers. And that enables you to even add a little bit of pull. If you ever add external pull in that way, just do it gently. You can let your head just dangle naturally into gravity, or consciously draw the chin a little closer to the chest, activating an energy center in the throat. Breathe.
To get some more coverage here, we're going to allow ourselves to sway to the left, even just a little bit. And notice what happens to the sensation in the legs as you sway to your left. See if you can feel the sensation travel to the right. And then enjoy the sweep through the center. If you slow it down just a little bit, it becomes a fascinating journey from left to right or right to left. So the posture just gives you the opportunity to release in a certain area or areas of your body. So you have an opportunity to release now. Remember that breath we started with? Allowed you one of those sweet inhales. With the exhale, really let it go. And then let gravity draw you back to the middle. And then slowly start to slide the hands up the tracks of your legs as you come up about halfway, just like in the sun salute. With the exhale, let the hands continue the rest of the way to the hips. And then with the inhale, swivel up the rest of the way like you're drawing water out of the earth. Nice and slow. So by the time you reach the top and then you keep going, all that water, that just like a water pump, you just drew it out of the earth, is bursting up through your body now. Sink into those heels. Linger back here just for a moment longer and let your armor melt. We all have a kind of inner armor. That's that inner tension I was talking about. Melt it down now. Good. Then draw yourself to a neutral stance and just let that sing for a moment. Proceeding much like an Ashtanga primary series flow, we're going to bring the feet back together to align them so the feet are touching. And that creates the alignment where we step that right foot back just about 3 feet or so. And then we're going to go 180 here with the toes. So the right toes are going to point to that back wall and the left foot is going to angle. So already, just by virtue of turning that foot, we've already got stuff going on in that hip. So kind of move around it a little bit. Feel what's going on. Get to know it first upright before tipping into it. The tip requires that our legs stay straight, because as the legs stay straight and we tip, the opening goes way into that hip. So you don't actually need to go very far for this one. Don't worry about getting your hand to the foot. Just fall a little bit down the leg. You're focusing and prioritizing what you're feeling in that right leg and hip, and then from there, if you want to keep the hands on the hips, you can do that, or go into star pose, arms, if it's not distracting. Good. And then, again, the posture is like an access code into your body, but if you're fighting it, you don't gain access. So now you just breathe, receive the pose. Just like you were on a massage table and someone else were giving you this pose. Receive it. Deep inhale. Exhale, relax. Deep inhale. Exhale, relax. In the back of our minds, many of us feel like once you've gone a certain distance, now you're committed. You guys stay there. But I want you to break that rule too. Maybe after a while, it's too far. Maybe you want to back out a little bit. Maybe after a while, you get the green light to sink in deeper. So I call that keeping it updated. Keep it current with what your body is telling you now. Let those fingers speak of overflow, especially in that left hand. Radiance. Good. And now, just like in the Ashtanga series, we travel from one side to the other, same pose. So we're going to enjoy this journey. Coming out of the pose is like the reaping of all the benefits from that side. And there's an interim where the feet come back to where they started. Hands return to the hips. Give a moment for the left hip to get the message. Take some time to breathe with it. If you treat it like every moment is important, every moment becomes much more important. So take your time. Good. I heard a good pop in there somewhere. That's how you know it's working. See, that's that slow approach. Your body doesn't need to fight it. And so it says yes, and it'll adjust itself. Good. Remember, if you find that you're waiting ever, you just forgot how much you're feeling. No one ever wanted a good massage to be over. So this is the mindset shift. Good. It's not the teacher holding you in a pose. You're completely free to come out at any time. I'm just keeping the rhythm, and you can dance around it as you please. We're going to come up through the center again. And we switch the feet just like we did before. Only one little difference this time. We're going to actually let the left hip follow, and that's going to turn us to face the back wall. Beautiful. I'll act as your mirror image, so don't let me confuse you. Your right foot is forward, and maybe you might want to shorten the stance a little bit, exactly, and just so that we've got a nice wide step, but we're not overextended, and you can just relax into it. You want to drop. Totally relax. Hands to the hips. Just like we did in the standing back bend before, we're going to start to draw ourselves up and back. Feel that beautiful curvature accentuated, especially on the left side. Allow a nice deep inhale there. And then leading with the pelvis forward. Keep the legs straight too here. And if you lead forward that way, most of us don't even need to go down 45 degrees. Some of us might go further, some of us a little less. But what we're looking for is the pull on the back of that right leg. Pretend this is the whole pose right here. We want a kind of more angular, straight back, straight legs, and just the perfect amount of pull on the back of your right leg. But then, as we bring into the twist, that right shoulder starts to draw up, and the left shoulder starts to drop down. You can even keep your hands close to home there if you like. If you feel like your right leg wants to bend, that's an indication that you're pushing too hard. So we just kind of stay up high. Yeah, feel free to stay right here. We got a nice triangle base with a twist on top. Beautiful pose, Parivrita Trikonasana. If you want to add the star pose arms, when I say star pose, I mean that radiant reach from the heart, from the center of your being. Again, the hand is not the leader, it's a follower in this. The leader is what's going on in that right leg, down the outside edge of that leg, the spine. Make sure it's not too much. Good. So ask your body, how can I make this less awkward for you, body? Where can I back off? Where can I ease in? Good. If you're waiting to come out, it means you're pushing too hard. Just back out a little bit. And then let's enjoy a nice, smooth journey back up, harvesting all the goodness from that side as we switch the rolls of the legs. Facing again the front of the room. Right hip squares forward. Hands on the hips. Nice big inhale. Good. Just think of it in one step at a time. It's kind of a really good way to make sure you don't go too far. So just coming forward, keeping more of a straight spine. Stop when the pull on the back of that left leg is just enough, not too much, and even on the gentler side, because we're about to add that twist. The left shoulder rises and the right shoulder drops. But not only that, we get this pull that we rarely ever get on that outer left leg. Especially with new sensations, be gentle. Get acquainted with it. Do that breath I was showing you earlier. Nice, deep, sweet inhales. Relax on the exhale. That tells your body, hey, this is okay, this is safe. You start to sink into it. And then you can slide down over time. Good. Beautiful, guys. Let's take one more beautiful breath here. Good. Drawing yourself back up through the center. Continuing with a flow very similar to primary series. We're going to switch the rolls of the legs yet again. Only now we're going to bend that right leg. And that totally is a game changer. Now we've got more room oftentimes to get greater distance between the feet. So the first thing you want to determine is how far the feet are. If they're too close, it can be not enough. If it's too far, it can feel overextending. So find a nice middle ground, keep the knee over that foot, and just let that sink in a moment. Good. Once you got a handle on that, you feel relaxed, you've settled into your base, what we're doing is adding that tip just like we did with Trikonasana, only this time with the intention to either rest on the right hand, at least the right hand, in the middle, the right elbow, and only if you're not curling yourself to the ground to get your hand down there. You want to keep that straight side, you can drop your hand outside that foot or maybe inside that foot. And then that left arm beams up to the sky. Just focus on the straight up brilliance of that reach first,
and then let it topple. So what we end up with here is a really awesome straight left side, and just getting all that side open and connected too, unified. Good. Let the arm kind of tip more towards the head, and then rotate the palm more down so you can open up. When you turn the palm, you're turning the whole arm. So just try those out. Good. And it's your journey to the other side. However you want to sequence it, you can come up, then straighten the leg, or do both at the same time, however you want to do that. And switch the rolls of the legs and give some time to let it sink in. That's very important. Good. When you're ready, if you treat it like it's important, it becomes important. In other words, slow it down, honor it, take your time. We're constantly conditioned with this get her done mentality. You got to get it done, get through it, do it. But that robs us of the experience. So focus on making the experience so yummy, you never want it to end. You can actually get really good at that. So it's not endurance that keeps us in the pose, it's enjoyance. Endurance implies that you have to endure something. If you have to endure something, something ain't right. You got to back away somewhere. Lighten up. Good. And then much like we did the Trikonasana and then the revolving version, this is Parsva Konasana. Now we're going to try the revolving version. We come up, harvest that side, switch the rolls of the legs, and square the hips to the back this time. Still in a lunge. And you might need to shorten the stance. When we do that hip forward thing, you might need to shorten. Start with the heel on the floor. That's very different. When you're just on the balls of the feet, it's less grounded back there. When you drop that heel, you've really got support. We want to feel that support, and then tip. Just a little bit. Even let your hands be your supports there as you just angle your spine more like 45 degrees-ish. Staying right there for a moment, just let it sink in, because you just added more support load to that right leg. Then topping it off with a twist, the most basic of which is just let your left forearm casually rest upon your right knee, and just bring your right hand to your low back. So you're just kind of hanging out, looking at the right wall. Beautiful, yeah. So that's the minimal. On your mirror image, you're turned the right way. But if you keep sliding, the elbow gets beyond that right leg, you can actually press that arm into the leg to drive more leverage into the twist. And that can be desired or not. You can also place the right hand on top of the left hand and even press down. So if you push down with your right hand, you're actually pushing down by a chain reaction to the leg into the floor, driving yourself into an even deeper twist. Always caring, always loving, deep, deep breath. I know that right leg is speaking loudly right now. Just take one more deep breath right here. Good, and then as though that left foot is your anchor, draw yourself out with poise and grace. Nice and smooth. Through the center, switching the legs so the left toes are pointing to the front wall again. Left knee is now the bent leg. Square that right hip to the front wall. Make sure that right heel's connected. And just one step at a time. Just tip, angle the spine. Nice deep breath. Twist, just a little slide will do. Right forearm on the left leg. Left hand on the low back. Right shoulder's dropping, left shoulder's rising. If that right arm continues past the left leg, you can drive yourself into a little bit more of a twist. Good. Checking in with that back heel. It can leave the floor, but if it does stay on the floor, it's almost like the twist continues all the way down the leg. It's like one rotation from the top of your head to your heel. Good. A couple more deep breaths right here. Make it count. You're on the massage table, and this is your opportunity to let go of something you've been holding on to for a long time. Deep inhale. Let it go. Good. Coming back up nice and smooth, where we get to now play in more of a mirror image left and right.
In other words, the feet are parallel. Doing the same thing again. Just feel the simplicity of a wide triangle stance with matching legs. Maybe even close your eyes and try to see it energetically. The brilliance of feeling your body is it's like you're seeing your body on the inside. Close your eyes. See your body on the inside. See your connection to the earth. Good. And when you reopen your eyes, you can feel that depth. You maintain that depth. You bring the hands to the hips again, just like before. The elbows drawing back towards each other. This is another standing back bend, but it's going to be even more powerful because of the wide stance. So we've been working up to this. Pelvis leads the way. That curve ripples up the spine. You are in charge here. However far back you'd like to go, just be kind. Good, nice big inhale. And as we've been doing, we're going to lead with that pelvis. Introduce it into the backs of the legs gently. And at any point, let your hands come to legs, feet, floor. Head drops, and if you just add a little bit of pressure on your hands, kind of downward and forward on the floor, it can squeeze you in a little bit deeper if you want more pressure, or just let gravity do it. Nice. And remember, I encourage breaking the rules. If you see a boundary that feels containing, break it. Like if you feel like you can't bend your legs, bend your legs. Just check it out for a moment and then come back. So it's important to feel that freedom. Move around the pose and then come back to the middle. And then that middle is much more spacious. And just we reverse it, so the hands on the floor, we come up and inhale, either keeping them on the floor or sliding up the legs about halfway up so we get that parallel back. Exhale the hands the rest of the way to the hips. Water pump style, and again, another thing you can do is engage the pelvic floor muscle, which adds even more power to this as we rise up. It's called Mula Bandha. Visit the back edge if you like. Prasarita Padottanasana. B is the same thing, but this time we're not going to rely on the hands. We're just going to keep them right there on the hips. And give ourselves back to gravity again. This is one big water pump motion. Enjoy it, take your time, keep it high quality as you come up slow motion, smooth, Mula Bandha engaged. On up. Visit the back edge again if you like, if you desire. Remember that each time it can have a different level of intensity, appropriate to the moment. Come back to a neutral stance. This is where we deviate from the traditional primary series flow by throwing in here a star pose. Now the spirit of star pose is one of truly radiating, emanating, reaching from the center of your being. Now, when you talk about the center of your being, that's not really a physical location. It might be, generally speaking, somewhere in the middle of your torso, your heart. But wherever you feel it to be, you want to feel like there's one center, just like the sun has one center, but yet it's shining in every direction. So the sun is not just shining towards the earth, it's shining at all directions, behind it, downward, upward, outward. And I want you to feel that and embody that. Good. So the more you unleash that shine, that radiance, it's not the less that you have, it's actually the more you have. So it's opposite of what we're used to thinking. The more you shine, the more you have to shine. Another way of thinking about 0-point energy. Ostensibly tapping infinite energy from nothing. 0-point energy. They say that there's
certain scientists who've created the technology to do this, and of course they get destroyed. But we are that technology. Good. And right about now, you may be noticing some tension build up in the shoulders, maybe some stiffness. So I want you to just kind of, instead of retreating from that, take it on and melt it away. It's just old stuff. It's an old skin, old energy. Just burn it off. If you want to let your arms drop again and reburst, that's fine. So I want you to feel the difference between stiffness versus stillness. You can be still and fluid. Good. Now we're going to take all that's brought to the surface with star pose and sort of wipe it away clean with one big, thorough, juicy sweep of the arms down to the earth. Downward becomes forward. Be as thorough as you can. Forward becomes upward. So you're always reaching with all of your heart. Upward becomes backward, outward, and downward. Woo. On an exhale as it comes down. And just because we can, let's do another one. Downward becomes forward. Forward becomes upward. Inhaling to the max. So open heart as the arms come down and drops behind you. Interlace the fingers this time. The way to do that sometimes is to let the elbows bend first, then it's easy, and then go to straight, or you might be able to go right into it. So let's exhale as the arms go straight. Inhale as we visit that back edge, now with bound arms. And then exhale, smile our way down on an exhale as we really bring it home with Prasarita Baddha Konasana C. Don't feel like you got to bring your arms far forward or towards the earth, just a little bit, just enough to open the shoulders. Let your eyes roll back in your head a little bit. Enjoy it. Enjoyment is an art. Just like acquired taste, something that doesn't taste good at first and you learn how to enjoy it, same thing with the body. You can acquire a taste for almost anything, as long as it's honoring. Good. You can keep your arms clasped if you're loving that, if you don't want them to separate yet. But if you want to, you can let them drop. And then we'll let the knees bend. And then there's just a nice opportunity to bring some nice fluid strength to the legs. So the way we do it is just drop them to a lunge, let's say on the left side first. And you can feel how you can almost go too far. Don't go too far, just before that. And then press out with smooth, slow confidence. And then right through the center to the other side. Dropping down. Tease that edge of too far. And then smooth, slow, confident push. And continue that way at your pace from side to side. And every time you press out of one side or the other, you're getting more strength, more power, more energy, not less. Think of your legs as generators. It's hard for us to imagine a technology that doesn't need to take energy from the outside. Think about the technologies that have been trying to surface that can generate energy. What we often call clean energy, sustainable energy. Well, that analogy applies to our bodies too. We can use our bodies in a way that burns energy, creating exhaust, or we can use our bodies in a way that generates energy, clean energy. Good. You don't get exhausted if you don't create exhaust. And come back to the middle now and make your way back up to the top. Good. So the body should just be emanating now, all that chi and energy. We want to bring that with us to the front of the mat again. So you swivel that left foot to point to the front and just ushering your weight into that left leg so it's easy to draw that right leg up to meet. Yeah.
Revisiting Utkatasana, we're going to sit into the earth, the legs as one powerful spring. It's nice to revisit poses now and again because you can feel after all that you've experienced, you almost come into the posture the second time wiser, stronger, more connected. Feel the difference. Palms can stay parallel or unite as one, or however you want to sculpt this. And then we're going to take it and kind of redirect the energy differently than before, where we send the arms straight ahead. And you'll notice that as the gap closes between your tummy and your thighs, your tailbone sticking back, it becomes Ardha Utkatasana, skier's pose, if that name and visual helps. Deep breaths, take it by storm. Good, yeah. And then just like our sun salutes, we'll plant the hands, step, walk, or even a hop back. Hold the earth at arm's length. You can skip the scoop and go right back to child's pose or downward dog unless you want to drop with me to the earth into an exhale and roll into an upward dog. Celebratory upward dog. Let's all take child's pose for a moment, actually. Good. Feeling gravity like the loving hug of the earth. Surrender to that embrace. Much like a lot of the things that scientists research, gravity, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but there's nothing like feeling it. In the end, it's just feeling it. It's something beyond what we can describe or talk about. 9.8 meters per second squared acceleration does not tell you the experience of gravity. You want to just feel that embrace. Something beyond words. We're going to emerge to just a few more standing postures, but really paint the journey with lots of colors. Take your time as you move from child's pose to downward dog. Movement is like texture, and just like textures can be rough or smooth, silky. You choose the texture of your movement as you make your way back up to the front. Come up about halfway, just like a sun salute. Exhale down all the way. Inhale, catch the next burst of air up to the sky. Palms beat. Exhale, let your arms fall to your sides. Now the theme becomes balance. We're just going to make it simply about balance, which starts on 2 feet, eyes closed, and just feel your body balancing. And we want to feel that you don't have to make balance happen. Balance happens. Just feel it. So it's very important to understand that balance and relaxation go hand in hand. The more tense we get, the less balanced we are. So relax. And then we can uproot a foot. So it starts with just bending one of the legs. Let's do the right leg to stay on the same leg. So we let the right leg bend. Left leg stays straight. That already spills most of the support into that left leg, and then that right foot on or off the floor is a nominal difference. It shouldn't be much of a difference. So you actually can make it one-legged balance right here. If you want to proceed from there and play with bringing the heel to the ankle or the entire sole of the foot to the ankle or on up the leg to varying degrees, if you prioritize the pose over balance, that's when we lose it. So keep the balance first, pose second. Good. This is a basic tree pose, palms at the heart, above the head. And then you can take it a couple places from there if you want to accentuate certain things. Like, for example, if you want to challenge your balance even more, close your eyes and stay relaxed. If you want to bring more opening to the hip, you bring the whole foot kind of in front of the leg in a kind of half lotus, which you can cup with the left hand. Some like to throw in a little fold with this too, if you want to do that. So just make it yours and breathe. Trying not to fall creates tension. Tension makes us more prone to falling. So in a way, you got to just say, bring it on. Fall if you fall. Invite the fall. Notice your breath. Good. The switch out, as with everything, when you slow it down, becomes fascinating. So just take your time, really study the physics of it. Right now, there's no weight on that right leg. The second it makes contact, it starts to take it from the left. Brief moment of 50-50. Stop at 50-50 for just a moment. And then let that left leg bend and give more support to the right. And then it's all yours. Also, consider that your energy goes past the floor and into the center of the earth. That visual is like an anchor for your balance. So just think and connect to the center of the planet. That way you're not so top heavy and you've got those roots. Good. And then by contrast, as we come back to 2 feet, after being on 1 foot for a while, it's always such a wonderful feeling. You know when it's cold outside and you come into a warm house, that feeling of, you can really feel the warmth. Well, when you come back to 2 feet after you've been on 1, you can feel that stability so much more than when we started. Now that stability is not just physical stability, it's stability on every level. So when we feel physical balance, it can also bring everything else into balance too. So let's take 3 deep breaths together now with the intention of really remembering this feeling of centeredness and balance so that we can access it anytime we need, especially those moments where we get irked, triggered. Just remembering is the only hard part, but it gets easier. So let's remember our balance as we move through the world, sweeping the arms outward and upward with a big sweep. Exhale, glide through the air into a fold again. It's one of the last times we do this. Inhale, part way up, so enjoy it. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, lowering into the earth. And this is where we kind of go back to that primary series version of the warrior sequence, which is kind of nice. We're going to go over the toes, hands and feet. Let's go ahead and send that left leg up high and bright, or as a bent leg, just for a nice big inhale. Sway it forward with graceful control to the front of the mat, just like the sun salute bee, and then drop that back heel, exhaling, settling into the earth. Inhale. We're going to sweep all the way out and up and go right into a brilliant reach, and then again, hang out here with that kind of star pose quality. Simultaneously surrendering to gravity while bursting up to the sky. Good. Let levity and gravity work together. Then we just keep that upward radiance and just switch the rolls of the legs. Face the back. Are you creating exhaust? Where can you relax? Where can you allow more flow? Where can you fill up brighter? Good. And we turn it on this side to Warrior B. That just means that the arms are going more parallel to the earth. Right arm reaching forward, left arm back. And as that left hip rotates back too, so the pelvis, torso ends up facing more of the mirrors. And the arms are floating, not because you're lifting them with your shoulders, but because you're beaming through them with your heart. Very different feeling. Every reach has an origin. The deeper, the better. So your right and left arms don't have different origins. They have the same origin. Good. And then if you rotate the palms from downward to upward, you get a very different flavor. If you turn the palms outward and spread the fingers, you can really feel that fascia out to the palms and forearms. Keeping the arms however you like, and just switch the rolls of the legs. Smooth. Remember, enjoyment is an art. What does it mean to really squeeze the juice out of every moment as much as you can? Good, and a kind of rainbow sweep, that right arm comes up and around, and that brings us back down for our last vinyasa sweep here, potentially. We drop down to the earth, and with a plow-like depth, we sweep into an upward dog. Good, and then we roll all those toes into a pyramid pose. And since we got a chance to reach that left leg back there, we're gonna just take a moment to reach the right leg so it doesn't feel jealous. And let's just go ahead and go right into pigeon for that matter. Slide that knee right onto that shin there, side of the leg, forward, leaving the left leg behind. And with your arms supporting you there below, it's great support for you to kind of adjust and get settled, get the right angle of attack. And then with a big inhale for the earth, and melt down. The thoroughness requires that we kind of drop down with our belly first and then on up from there. Yeah. So you may end up on your hands, your elbows, or even your forehead, and then just let gravity do the work. Even the slightest little tip, tilt, sway, gives you the controls to start navigating the deep inner realms of that hip. Keep that breath flowing. Your breath is essential in facilitating release and healing. If you have any kind of sciatica stuff, great time to really focus on unclenching the deep tissues. Yeah. And just observe, it's very interesting that we separate the mind and the body, because there would be no body to feel if there weren't a mind to perceive. So this idea that the body is like a separate thing from the mind, we got to stop doing that. There's no separation. And a clench in the mind becomes a clench in the body. If we think rigidly, our body becomes rigid. So conversely, as we relax the mind, as we open the mind, we open the body. That means we got to let go of our rigid thinking about the body, like all the labels that we put on it, the measurements, all of these mental overlays. I let those go. Yeah. Good, that's a nice long opening for the right side. Let's give the same medicine to the left, and it's entirely your journey. However you want to go to the other side, just really promise me you're going to enjoy it. Take your time. We already reached that left leg, but you can do it again if you like. Take a few moments settling in from above.
And go that extra mile to just inhale upright and really lengthen, and then thoroughly venturing into those depths. So we can say that the hips are a foot, foot and a half across when we're looking at them. But from the inside, what is the distance between the left hip and the right hip? If we drop feet, inches, and all of those measurements, what's the distance? How deep can we go? Could it feel like miles between our hips? Can one little tiny tip feel like a journey from one end of the Milky Way to the other? Start to explore your body on that fine-tuned level. That's where the line between your mind and your body blurs. So much so that you can just think about moving and you can feel it in your body. Imagine tipping. Good. Can you imagine what we might be capable of healing-wise if we start to really get that connection down? Your breath is still flowing. Even if it's not audible or big, your breath is still flowing. Still feeling it, still conscious of it. Good. Sweet. And then we start to back away with the help of the hands. The exit of the pose is the harvest. Take your time. And then toppling onto that left hip so we can swing that back leg from behind us to in front of us, and then the soles of the feet unite. So oftentimes the simplest poses are the most profound, the most transformative, and this is no exception. This one, Baddha Konasana, as simple as it is, where it takes us is so special. So we want to first just bring the soles of the feet together, maybe scooch closer or further, just kind of dial in a nice placement for the distance between your heels and your pelvis. And then we're all going to hook our fingers underneath, interlace underneath the feet. And that allows us to kind of pin the hands down with the feet. Once it's pinned, you just lean back a little bit and notice how your shoulders kind of get pulled away from your ears. So you're elongating that whole environment around the neck and head. A nice deep breath there. So that means anything we do from here is going to be easier to feel and navigate, so it requires only little movements. We'll start by tipping the head to the right shoulder, right ear to the right shoulder, even just a little bit. That means we're elongating that whole left side, generally speaking. But then we can do a number of things here. While you're here, notice you've got two main swivels, up and down, left and right. And then combined, there's infinite options. So just kind of explore, let your head move around a little bit here. Good. Big difference between trying to stretch it out versus just trying to get in there, feel it. When all you need to do is feel it. When consciousness meets body, things relax. Again, the posture is nothing more than an opportunity to gain access inside of you. That's it. And just like any tool, it can be used with a heavy hand or a gentle one. Good. Let's just give that same medicine to the other side. So we drop that left ear towards the left shoulder, the right side of the neck elongates, opens up, and then again, The movements can be so minuscule, but yet so profound. Or they can be more big. Just listen to your body. And try not to tell it where to go. Try to let it tell you. Good. That's where slowing down becomes indispensable, because if you're keeping it slow, any movement you do is oftentimes guided by that intuition. Really listen. Good. And then shoulders still being pulled away from the ears. We'll just let the chin drop to the center of the chest. So this then gets that whole upper wing area. Little turns of the chin as it hovers close to the chest. Goes down into the back even. To top it off, we let the chin lead the way to the sky. Not crunching the back of the neck too much, just enough to elongate through the throat. If you jut your jaw out just a little bit, you can really touch into all the fascial tissue of the underjaw and throat in a very profound way. That's cool. Something that the body doesn't get very often. Think about any voice blockages. Speaking your truth, for example. There's a physical component to that, and we can really help open and release that tension around the throat and the voice. Good, deep breaths. And then just go free form up top here from here. Now you can topple forward if you like, or back, or left or right. Sometimes I even find myself using the hands and going up. There's many ways to play with this. Your focus is going now more towards the hips and groin area. And again, with that same kind of intuitive exploration, just let your body guide you. The breath is always flowing. Think of it like if you stop breathing, then you start to build up in the queue of your body unfelt things. It's like we stop breathing and then we have to catch up. If you keep breathing, you're staying current. You're not accumulating. Good. Remember that a deep breath does not have to be big. It just needs to be felt. And we're going to lay it down when you're ready with the help of the hands. This journey is fascinating. Slow it down as always. And just feel as your pelvis reclines relative to your legs, you're really giving yourself another massage stroke here for those deep inner hips. And then once we come all the way to the back, we really come to a place of surrender and letting go. So soles of the feet stay together. We're just now letting gravity have us. Good. And if you want, that's it. Just let's all take a couple deep breaths together. Nice inhale. And really let go on the exhale. Good. And even feel free to make a sound with it. Deep inhale. Good. There's a reason that we recognize that sound as the sound of release and relief. Good. A lot of times we're afraid to relax. Funny enough, to be afraid of relaxing. Why? What could be the reason for that? Well, it's control. A lot of our tension is about control, controlling. So relaxing means surrendering. Relaxing means letting go of that control in a way. Ironically, it means we're gaining true agency. But there's a part of us that feels like we're losing control when we relax. So that's why it's so hard to relax. It's like the easiest thing to do and yet the hardest.
So this pose is all about that. I want you to just focus on every exhale, you're letting go of another layer of the control freak in all of us. Good. I want to keep it quiet for this next journey because I want you to almost hear the tissues flexing. As we start to draw your knees, at first it's just almost millimeter by millimeter away from the floor. So you can feel the inner hips, those same muscles that have been elongating are now beginning to contract, but not in a tense way, in a super relaxed way. That's why we're going slow. And the knees will eventually go from moving away from the ground to towards each other, but we're taking our time so that we can uncover any tensions that are hiding out along the way. So how this usually reveals itself is sometimes the legs begin to rumble and shake. If you try to go really smooth, it's funny because sometimes it becomes the opposite. It becomes really jerky and jittery, and that's actually a good thing. So you want to just slowly draw them together. Let the legs rumble. There's a really good release. You're staying relaxed even as they're contracting. Keeping that breath deep and relaxed. Inevitably, our legs unite at different times. So if you're still just barely beginning that journey, that's fine. At this point, we can kind of all wrap it up in our own time. But if your legs have come together, just give yourself a nice big hug, arms around the legs. If you're still drawing the legs together, no hurry, but just really embrace those legs with your heart. Good, and then splay yourself into a twist of your choice, both legs to one side or one over the other, or one wraps around the other, however you do that. Good. And make it yours. This is not an exacted pose. It's really just however your body wants to contort around this. The feeling is one of going deep into the river of your spine, which is to say, the brain, body connection, mind-body connection. Switching sides only when you feel satisfied with one. So today in today's flow, we sacrificed fanciness for subtlety. When we're in simpler poses, it allows us to kind of notice more and make more subtle adjustments and stuff. So that was intentional. Nice and basic, straightforward. I'm hoping now, as you come back to your back, you can feel that much deeper connection to yourself, a feeling of much more surrendered, relaxed. Let your eyes close, let yourself melt into the floor, and we're going to just disappear into the stillness and silence for a little while. When you think about the tumultuousness of the cosmos, the exploding stars, the totally uninhabitable circumstances in most every place, it's amazing. Somewhere in the universe there's a planet that we can just be completely comfortable on. So I want you to just really feel that and appreciate it and feel the stillness. Even as you know we're hurling through space at mind-blowing speeds. I'll see you on the other side. there's a very simple thing that we can do that's incredibly profound in its effect. And right now is the optimal time, which is simply to feel your heartbeat from the inside. Draw your attention into your chest where you know your heart is. And even if it's not defined pulses that you feel, just feel the energy there. Any sensation there will do. Now, by feeling your heartbeat, you're accessing something very, very deep. Your heart has been beating since shortly after your conception, and it literally has not stopped. Awake, asleep, happy, sad, your heart's beating, and it has not stopped. So to feel your heartbeat is to access something in you that knows why you're here, why you're still here, why you came here in the first place. So just let yourself feel your heartbeat for a little while. And let's each take our own natural flow from here on out. So if you want to stay in your Shavasana longer and just kind of mosey on out at your own pace, that's totally fine. Just however you do it, try to take this with you. That's all I ask. Take the calm with you. Take the peace with you. Take your heartbeat and breath with you. Take the flow with you. Thank you for coming today. Namaste. And it's likely that business will be taking me out of town either next week or the following week. So if you want to be sure, just check in before you come. Enjoy. Sorry. Wrong one.